How's it going, class? Today we're going to be learning about double distribution. So to summarize today's lesson, we're first going to review distribution. Then we're going to go over two definitions. First one being what a binomial is. The second being double distribution. And then third, and to end off the lesson, we're going to work on some examples.
So class, what we learned about distribution before, so when we have 5 times x plus 2, when it's written up here, we can take this 5 and distribute it inside the parentheses to each of the terms that are inside. So after distributing the 5 to the x, we get 5 times x. And after distributing the 5 to the 2, we get 5 times 2. So the law of distribution tells us that 5 times x plus 2 is the same as 5x plus 10.
So for this example right here, I want you guys to go ahead and work on it on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and unpause it once you have a solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and work this one out. And just like John was doing earlier, we're going to go ahead and multiply this x into our parentheses. So x times x, we're going to multiply our x times our negative 3. And so this is equal to x squared minus 3x. Now let's go ahead and define what a binomial is and double distribution.
First, we have to define what a binomial is before we get to the rest of the lesson. So a binomial, according to Webster's dictionary, is a mathematical expression consisting of two terms combined by a plus or minus sign. So just like a bicycle has two wheels or two cycles, a binomial has two nomials or two terms. Now that we've learned the wordy definition of binomial, it's time to play Is It Binomial? So for this first expression, is it binomial? Well, we have two things here that are separated by a plus sign. So yes, it is binomial.
I knew that.
You were expected to know that. This next expression, is it binomial? Well, we have two things here, a 3 and an x, but they're being multiplied together. There's no plus sign or minus sign. So no, it is not binomial. Now this expression, is it binomial? Well, we have an x cubed and we have a 2x. So we have two terms, and they're separated by a minus sign. So yes, it is binomial. And the last expression, is it binomial? Well, we have three terms here, separated by this plus sign and this minus sign. 3 terms is more than 2 terms. So no, it is not a binomial.
But it is a trinomial. So now let's move on to the topic of the lesson, and that's double distribution. And what a double distribution is the multiplication of two polynomials. But in today's lesson, we're going to work just with multiplying two binomials.
Now that we have your attention, we're going to go on to some double distribution. So we have two binomials here, and we're going to multiply them together. Well, first, we need to distribute this whole x plus 3 term into these parentheses. So we'll send our x plus 3 over to the x, and we'll send our x plus 3 over to the 1. So we'll get x plus 3 times the x plus our x plus 3 times the 1. That is our first distribution. Now for our second distribution, which is going to make this a double distribution, we can take this x and distribute it inside these parentheses, and take our 1 and distribute it inside these parentheses. So over here, distributing this x, we'll get x squared plus 3 times x And over here, we'll get x plus 3. And now we're going to add them together. Combining all the like terms, we have x squared plus 4x's plus 3.
All right, so let's look at our second example where we multiply two binomials together. So our first step is to multiply our x minus 4 over to our x minus 3. And this is a first distribution. And so this ends up equaling x minus 4 times x. And then we're going to multiply x minus 4 to our negative 3. And so we're going to add that. That's going to be x minus 4 times negative 3. Okay. And so now we're left with our second distribution. We're going to multiply our x over. We're going to multiply our negative 3 over. And this is going to be equal to x squared minus 4x plus, and we're going to take this negative 3 multiplied through, negative 3x plus 12. Because we know a negative 4 times a negative 3 is going to be a positive 12. Okay, so now all we have left doing is combining like terms. And the only like terms here are negative 3x and negative 4x. And so that's going to end up equaling x squared minus 7x plus 12. And this is your final answer. All right, so let's look at our third and final example of multiplying two binomials together. So like usual, multiply our first binomial into our second binomial. So we have x squared minus x times x cubed and x squared minus x times 3. So it ends up looking like we're equaling to x squared minus x times x cubed. We add that to x squared minus x times 3. Okay. So if you remember our exponent rules, well, remember that x cubed times x to the second equals x to the fifth. So x squared times x cubed equals x to the fifth. So this ends up equaling, we multiply our x cubed over. This is our second distribution. We multiply our 3 over. So this ends up equaling x to the fifth minus x to the fourth. So x cubed times negative x, that's negative x to the fourth power. Plus, we multiply our 3 over. 3 times x squared. And 3 times negative x, which is just negative 3x. Okay. So a lot of you are thinking, all right, last step, what we have to do is combine like terms. But as you can see, there are no like terms in here. We can't combine anything. So this is our final solution.
So during this video, we took the distributive law that we already knew and expanded it to be able to multiply binomials together. So next class, we're going to look at a different way of visualizing how to multiply binomials using algebra tiles. And we're going to try and expand what we know about the distributive law to even more things and learn how to multiply polynomials in general.